lawyer. But I met a girl, a Spelman girl. We were in the library, and I said, look, but let's hang out. She said, cool, let's hang out this evening. I'm going to a meeting downtown. Why don't you come? And so I went, and it turned out to be a campaign rally for Andrew Young.
Really?
So I'm there to impress her, and James Orange, he had worked with Dr. King, he was an organizer, older at that time. He asked for a volunteer. He said Andy Young was coming to the school in 2 days. He was coming on campus in 2 days, and they hadn't done any outreach. And he said, I need somebody to take these flyers and go pass them around. So I raised my hand, not because I wanted to join the movement, I wanted to get more closer to Debbie Carter. So I took those flyers, I passed them around, went dorm to dorm, passed it around, and the next day the room was filled. And in the midst of the campaign, Andrew Young said, is Tony Minor here? So I said, yeah. They said, come on, I want you to introduce Tony Minor. He's our student coordinator for the campaign.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. That's how that happened. It was all because of volunteering. And
it was because of that girl.
Yeah, all because of that girl. But I always talk about all because of that girl. But the idea of that if you do the work, people are gonna notice you. Right. Because I didn't, at that time, I wasn't really trying to, I didn't realize in the room was Miss King, Julian Bond, all those people. They had brought everybody on campus. They really wanted to make sure that students were involved in the campaign, because this was a historic campaign, because we had the opportunity to elect a second black mayor, to follow Mayor Jackson. So they really was going hard. And so it really opened the door for me to really become more active on campus. A lot of the students came from more prominent families. People drove nice cars, all that kind of stuff. I was able to utilize community service and activism that propelled me around campus by doing the work. And that's what I say, if you do the work, your gift, as we say in the church, that your gift will make room for you.
Interesting. From there, you got out of college, you graduated, you came back home, or what did you do?
I came. It was really interesting because I graduated. I was going to study for the law school exam. I graduated. I stayed to work on the Jesse Jackson campaign. And so I was part of the Southern Crusade. This was '83. Jesse was running in '84. He had just made the announcement that spring that he was going to run. And I came back to Cleveland in August of '83. Came back, I got a little job downtown. I was studying for the LSAT. I was volunteering with NAAC, right? So I was working with Pauline Tarver, Judge Harper, right? I was volunteering with them. And then the Underground Railroad came to town. It was in NAACP, a march to empower voters. And so I volunteered. Joe Madison invited me to get on the march. And so we went all around the country on this march. So when I came back, I said, you know what, I ain't going back to work, I'm going back to school. I said, because I stayed in the dorm at the Graduate School of Theology. So I said, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna go to graduate school, I'm gonna go to graduate school for theology. While I'm there, I'm gonna study for the LSAT, go to Emory, somewhere.
Well, what made you pick theology, though?
Because I stayed in that. See, I grew up in the church, and somewhere along the line, I just knew one day. I always had this feeling that one day I would end up being a preacher, right?
And Morehouse didn't have nothing to do with that.